Hello everybody, it is Harry Rice back, and welcome again to the Bleu, Blanc, Banter podcast. I'm again your host, Harry Rice, and my god, it has been a great past few weeks for the Montreal Canadiens. Ever since the Christmas break ended, it's been great. My god, I don't know how to even start talking about what has happened these past 2 weeks. Week and a half really. But firstly, I will say, Merry Christmas to all the viewers who didn't watch last week. I said it a couple times. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. It is the first episode of the Bleu Blanc Banter podcast for 2025, and it's going to be a good one. We had 6 games over the past 2 weeks, and I will spoil it just a little bit. The Montreal Canadiens, we actually had 5 games. Actually, I had one game open twice. I apologize. We had 5 games. A little bit of a spoiler. Habs went 4-1-0. Could have realistically gone 5-0. That is the crazy thing. The Canadiens could be on a 7-game winning streak right now. 8 games if you're including that Columbus game, which is crazy because then that would actually, I think, go to a 10-game winning streak, going back to the start of when we really started to be competitive. So, what games took place? Well, firstly, we had technically a home and home. It was a doubleheader against the Florida teams in their respective arenas. It was a game against the Golden Knights, and then the games that I'm recording after this one, or the games that I'm recording this pod right after, the home and home, well, the last of our away road trip against the Chicago Blackhawks and the Colorado Avalanche in a back-to-back. So we're just going to get right into it. It's just so much to talk about for these games. So firstly, the Florida game. And this was as perfect as a Canadiens road game as I think you can get. So firstly, Caden Primo was put on waivers the day after this game. But it was basically known on this day. It was the 28th. It was known that on the 29th he'd be put on waivers because Jakub Dobes was called up to get his first start. And now a lot of people thought that he would be starting the game against the Lightning and that it would be Montembeault going in against the Panthers. But no, it's Dobes in against the Panthers, which means Monty would get the start against the Lightning. How did Dobes do? Well, let's find out. So the first period was very even. The shots were 10-9 for the Panthers. But, and at one point, and I believe this is the game where it happened, the Canadiens were leading in shots. Actually, I can literally get the play-by-play so I can tell you if this is what was going on. The Canadiens were leading in shots. The Panthers, the Panthers. This is the game where the Panthers were leading in shots 4-0. 6 minutes in, they started the game off hot, and then the Canadiens really came out and got some shots as well. Shots at the end of that period were 10-9, and then the second period is where the game just really, really opened up for the Canadiens. So, Kirby Dach gets his third of the year. He has a really, really nice goal. Just nice wrister on net. It's a good play by the Canadiens. Just a really good pass from everybody on that goal. That's assisted from Newhook and Gooley. Newhook, by the way, getting his first assist of the year. So that's pretty fun. That's at 1:39 into the period. There would not be another goal for another 12 minutes. However, it seemed like they were coming fast and furious in this game. Kirby Dach would score again from Newhook. So Newhook gets his second assist of the year. Kirby Dach gets his fourth goal of the season. It's just a really, really nice breakout off a bad Panthers turnover and a really bad line change by the Panthers. Dach, just a nice deke to bury it past Spencer Knight. This was the battle of the backups. I should say it was Knight versus Dobes in net. And then Jake Evans. My God, extend this guy right now. Jake Evans, after getting completely robbed in that Detroit game, has said, you know what? I'm not just going to accept a 3-game goal streak. I'm pretty sure it's a 5-game goal streak with this one. Just a beauty beauty of a wrister to put it past Spencer Knight. Nice release, great passing. That one is unassisted, surprisingly. But it's 3-0 Canadiens, and all of a sudden, the game goes from, okay, well, the Panthers are probably going to win this, but the Habs can stay competitive, to, oh, the Canadiens are going to take this. And in the third period, I almost said the fourth period. In the third period, it completely collapsed. We said, fuck it, let's just go to overtime. No, but in the third period, Cole Caufield would get his 18th goal of the year off a really, really bad breakdown from the Panthers. Slavkovsky just gets it to Caufield in the slot. Really, really nice. Really nice. I guess you could say tip. It is a shot, but it's kind of more of a tip. And that would just seal the game. Canadiens win it 4-0. So, again, the question, how did Jakub Dobes do in his NHL debut? He stopped 34 shots. Yeah. Jakub Dobes played so good, and I'm really happy he got the start against the Avs. Tonight, as I'm recording this, it might end up being tomorrow by the time it's posted. Dobes looks so calm in net. He looks so sturdy. He's not allowing a ton of rebounds when he's facing a lot of shots like he was in that Panthers game at some points. He was completely just fine and natural, and he looked so mature for a guy making his NHL debut. Just, my God. We thought Jacob Fowler was going to be the starter. Dobes is going to challenge him if he keeps up this pace, which unfortunately he won't. We know it. You know, he's going to finish good. I think he's going to have a really good rest of the season. He's not going to be on pace to allow a goal every 2 games and an 984 every 2 games. It's incredibly unrealistic. I say that and it's somehow going to happen. But he's going to go on an Andrew Hammond run somehow. But I would love that. Hopefully he stays as inconsistent. Hopefully he stays more consistent than Andrew Hammond did after that season, though. Habs legend Andrew Hammond, by the way. Best run came with the Canadiens, of course. Undefeated as a Montreal Canadien. It's so good we had to trade him because it was just so unfair for the other teams. But Dobes, phenomenal NHL debut. Again, 34-34, just an absolute beauty. And speaking of absolute beauties, the next night we go to Tampa Bay in the Library Arena. And how does this game go? Well, in the first period, 12 minutes in, Alex Newhook scores. I should also mention that it shouldn't be a surprise if I tell you Montreal wins, given that it was Jonas Johansson in net. And as we all know, Jonas Johansson is arguably the worst goaltender in NHL history. But yeah, Newhook, he just gets found in the slot for that goal. Matheson and Laine get the assist on that. The blown D coverage big time by the Lightning on that one. Just a really, really good spot for Newhook to be in. He gets his 7th of the year from Matheson and Laine once again. And that's all you're scoring for the first. In the second, however, very early on, Brendan Hagel scores, unfortunately. It's just a really, really bad defensive coverage by Matheson and Hudson out there for that one. And it just sucked. That's all I can really say. It was a good shot from Brendan Hagel. Habs training camp legend, by the way, for those who don't know. Originally drafted by the Sabres, I believe. Habs invited him to a training camp and ended up cutting him. And then I believe it was the next year he signed with the Blackhawks. And Brendan Hagel's career has been pretty good ever since, surprisingly, for a team like Chicago, who the last 6 years have not been good at developing players, seem to develop Hagel pretty well. However, the tie would actually stick for quite a long time. 12 minutes into the second period, Christian Dvorak would score just a really, really nice shot, a really nice tip off of a goalie shot from the point, from the blue line, I should say. Carrier gets the second assist on that one. Carrier, really, really solid tenure with the Canadiens thus far. I think he's played really well. But Dvorak, again, just a good tip in the slot. Just gets the 2-1 lead for the Canadiens. And late, I apologize if you hear a little sniffling, by the way. I'm battling the last probably day or so of a head cold. So, yeah, you're going to hear just a little bit of sniffling in this episode. With minute 32 left in the second, Jake Evans, my God. This is where he gets the 5-game goal streak, by the way. Last game was 4. 5-game goal streak for Jake Evans, and just, my God, what a beauty of a shot. He's on a 2-on-1 with Armia, who gets an assist, by the way, because it's Armia to Evans, and Evans just decides not to pass back. Evans just eyes down Johansson, and just beauty of a wrister past him, and God, extend Jake Evans right now, please. Kent Hughes, Jeff Gorton. If Marty could negotiate, let him. Please. However, unfortunately, that would not be the last goal of the second period because Nikita Kucherov, Nikita Dusharov, as lovingly called in a Discord server that I'm in, he scores a very, very shitty goal that I'm going to pin on referees for like one of the few times that I do that a year. Montembeault has the puck. It's in between his legs. Kucherov reaches in, digs it out, and puts it home. And somehow that is allowed to stand because the refs try to suck off Tampa Bay as much as they can. It's a 3-2 lead for the Canadiens. And yeah, unfortunately that goal counts. However, in the third period, we would prove Tampa to be the most irrelevant franchise in the NHL, next to, of course, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Yoel Armia, just a beauty of a goal. After Emil Heineman just completely powers through a member of the Lightning. I forget who it was. I think it was Darren Radish, it might have been. Yoel Armia gets the pass, and God, Armia's looked really good the last month. I really liked him last year with his penalty killing ability, and I think his defensive game was really good last year. He doesn't have a ton of offense this year, but he's been pretty good. I believe the last 10. I believe he has something like 3 goals and 7 points in his last 10. He's been really good recently. I'm really liking Yoel Armia's offensive game recently. I would not mind re-signing him. I would, of course, rather trade him because it's probably going to be a decent third-round pick that we get. And plus, it gives him a chance to potentially win a Stanley Cup, assuming the Canadiens aren't in it, of course, but there's always that possibility. In fact, right now it's a probability that we are. But would not mind trading Armia, and I also wouldn't mind re-signing Armia. Either or, whichever we do, I'd have no issue. I will say, it would be interesting to see Armia hit free agency, because I'd want to see what team would sign him. If it'd be a team like San Jose or Chicago who's looking for that veteran, more experience. He's not a veteran. I think he's still only like 29, maybe 30. I'm pretty sure. But looking for that more experienced forward who can slot into the middle six, put up a couple points, maybe a decent 12, 15 goal, 30, 35 point season, who's good defensively. Or if it would be a team like, say, a Tampa Bay who are always looking for cheap depth signings, and Armia could potentially be that. It would be exciting to see that. However, would also, again, not mind signing him for a fourth line role if we want to keep Owen Beck, Philippe Mazar, those guys in the A, and just only really want to call up Ivan Demidov, but again, we'll see. And then empty netter, Brendan Gallagher would score it to seal the game up from Anderson and Carrier, so props to Brendan Gallagher. His first goal in what feels like forever. He started off really hot in, I think it was October. Had a really hot October. Might have been November, actually, but he had a really hot month, and he completely cooled down in December, unfortunately. Not completely. He still was okay, but just wasn't as good, unfortunately, in December. However, he ends December strong with the goal against the Lightning, and Habs win it 5-2. I think Montembeault had a good game. He only faced 23 shots, but he stopped 21 of them. Canadiens looked great once again. I think that, I think with the Canadiens on this back-to-back, we kind of had a chip on our shoulder, especially because we're kind of right there in that hunt, starting to get in the hunt for the playoffs, and it's Florida who have dominated us in Tampa Bay recently, in Florida, recently, and even Tampa have dominated us in Tampa recently. So I think we really came into those games wanting to win. And then we went into Vegas and said, hey, Vegas has beaten us here a lot. Why don't we win? Which brings us to our next game on New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve, which I was actually going to go live after. I elected not to, and I'll admit, probably should have. Might have been fun. But Montreal goes into Vegas on New Year's Eve, plays a great road game. A fantastic, gutsy comeback victory. Because in the first period, Zach Whitecloud would get his second goal of the year from Hertl and Colasar just 2 minutes into the game, and it's off of a good chance for the Canadiens, but it's just unfortunately a turnover, and it just leads to a bad play to cover Whitecloud. Nobody covers him, and he gets the goal. And then, unfortunately, as I'm not going to say a buzzer beater, with 12 seconds left, Noah Hannafin would score. And that's a goal that just you can't allow. It's a really good shot from Hannafin, but it's just one that you would ideally want him to get. And the Canadiens, this is actually, I'm pretty sure, the game where the Golden Knights outplayed us hard in the opening couple of minutes. We got some shots, but the Golden Knights were leading in shots. I think it was 6-2, 7-2, just 6 minutes into the game. They outplayed us hard, and then the Canadiens just took over. They really got a lot of shots, and the Golden Knights had a bit of a tough time getting shots. But again, Hannafin would score with 12 seconds left. It was their first shot, and I think it was 7-8 minutes. So unfortunately, Habs would go down 2-0. However, you need a clutch goal. You got to start something. Who do you call? Cole Caufield, his 19th of the year from Nick Suzuki and Juraj Slafkovsky. That is his 100th career NHL goal. So, one of those party streamers. I don't have one of them. But just a beauty passing play off of some really good board play. Slav gets it to Suzuki in the slot, makes you think he's going to shoot it. You just pass it to Caufield, who buries it, breaks the shutout, and it's a 2-1 game just like that. That comes 17-27 into the second period, so with about 2.5 minutes left, Habs got a bit of momentum, and in the third period, Emil Heineman, this guy looks so good. He gets the tie game off of David Savard. He just buries his own rebound, from what I recall. He buries his own rebound off of a really good tip shot, and Heineman quietly having a pretty good rookie season so far. So he ties it. However, 7:58, by the way, the second period, it does not stay tied for long, because just 2 minutes and 21 seconds later, Kirby Dach, on a 2-on-1, trying to feed it to Laine on a backhand, somehow, between the legs of the Vegas goaltender, I forget which one, I think it was Aiden Hill in net, somehow it beats him. Kirby Dach gets his 5th of the year from Josh Anderson at 10:09, and that would hold. The Golden Knights would press hard to get the tie game, especially with the empty net. Habs took a couple icings, but my God, Canadiens just won it. And a hard-fought, a gutsy ass win for the Canadiens. A fantastic road game. Canadiens last week go 3-0-0. Actually, I think it's technically last week go 2-0-0. Yeah, because the 31st counts as this week's game. So we go 2-0 last week, and this week starting out 1-0. Pretty good. However, last night, we face the struggling Chicago Blackhawks, who are on a 5-game losing streak. A 5-game losing streak. First period. And, my God, what in the ever-loving fuck? A minute 58 into the game, there are 2 penalties. which oftentimes you would think, oh, okay, so it's like a 4-on-4, or they called like a penalty on one team, and then maybe it's like another penalty on our team, so we're going to like 4-on-4 or something. Or maybe it's like just two coincidental minors. Arbor Xhekaj takes a trip, and Jaden Struble gets called for a slash. Neither of which actually happened. So naturally, the Hawks score. Tyler Bertuzzi gets his 13th of the year from Teravainen and Bedard. And quite frankly, Bedard's assist is probably the only good thing about that goal happening. The Hawks just... They scored on a 5-on-3. I mean, what is there really to take note? Carrier just loses his man, and Hawks score as a result. However, late in the first period, with about a minute 46 left, who do you call when you need a clutch goal aside from Cole Caufield himself? 20 on the year for Cole Caufield. He gets that one from Matheson and Suzuki with a minute 36 left. Just a really, really nice goal. Nobody's covering him. He just walks from the side of the net right out in front, buries it top shelf, top left corner, and it's a good goal. My God, Cole Caufield is so much of a beauty. By the way, I should mention, before I forget, for this game and tonight's game against the Avalanche, both Patrick Laine and David Savard were both out of the lineup. David Savard was out with, it looks like, that lingering injury he suffered a couple weeks ago. He is out with that. And Patrick Laine is out due to the flu, unfortunately. So hopefully he's back in time for the game against the Canucks, which is a couple days away. But we'll see. Hopefully he is. But yeah. Second period, Nick Foligno would tip a shot home from Kaiser and Dickinson. Yeah, you got to be able to cover a guy there. Jaden Struble just doesn't cover Foligno well enough, and unfortunately, it's a 2-1 Hawks lead, 7:05 into the second. In the third, 3 minutes and 1 second, Pat Maroon would score from Ryan Donato and Craig Smith. Yeah, it's just a pass right across, and Monty doesn't have much of a chance on it. Especially when Caden Gooley just loses his man. He tries to block the pass, and he just isn't able to, unfortunately. So, yeah, Mike Matheson is also on the ice for that, so no real big surprise the Hawks score there. However, to start a comeback, Emil Heineman with a beauty of a bat, making sure it's below the shoulders. It's kind of waistline, actually. Bats a puck out of midair from Matheson and Doc. That comes 9:45 in, so Habs take the deficit down to 3-2, and that one is actually a power play goal, I should say, as well. The first power play goal in over a month that isn't from Patrick Laine, which tells you, A, how good Patrick Laine is, and B, how good the Habs power play can be when Patrick Laine is in the lineup. He hadn't scored in the last, I want to say it was 4 that he played, which is fine because the Canadiens kept winning, so it's not like we're losing, 10-1 or whatever, and it's like, oh, if Laine was here, we'd be winning 3-2, It's games that we're still winning, which shows how good the team mentally is with Laine and Savard both in the lineup, and yeah, so Heineman. However, with about 4 minutes and 9 seconds left, Nick Foligno unfortunately gets his second of the night. I don't like Nick Foligno. I will let you guys guess why. If you need to, look where he's played in his career, and you'll probably find why I don't like him. But yeah, Nick Foligno is just off a bad defensive coverage from the Canadiens, plus the fact that apparently there's no such thing as goalie interference anymore in the NHL. Yeah. So, Nick Foligno scores his second of the night from Hall and Vlasic. That is of the Alex variety, not Mark Edward. San Jose cannot get rid of that awful contract. So, that would do it. Blackhawks wouldn't score on the empty net. Habs would press hard at the end of the game. But unfortunately, Canadiens just couldn't get it. Victor Arvidsson making 38 saves on 40 shots. This kid looking quite good for the Hawks. Arvid Soderblom, over Soderblom, I think I might have said Soderstrom, but Soderblom, my God, this kid, he he looks quite good. He's 25. He's got a 910 save percentage in 17 games this year. He's looking like he could be a legitimate goaltender. And props to him for being good enough to be an NHL goalie. He is going to get paid this year potentially. So good on him. Which brings us to tonight. The Montreal Canadiens in against the Colorado Avalanche. Oh my god, this was a fun game. By the end of it, I should say. The first 2 periods were really fucking boring. And I say that with full disclosure. I got like 6.5 hours of sleep last night. I got a few winks during the game. I didn't miss a lot. The shots after the first were 8-4 Colorado, and the shots in the second were 8-5 Montreal. I really did not miss much. The third period was a wide open game, and that overtime, my god. We can talk about the overtime for a minute because it was really goddamn fun. So, in the first period, Mikko Rantanen scores on a power play off of just a really bad new hook slash. He didn't need to take the penalty, but it's a really nice deflection goal past Jakub Dobes. I should mention, Dobes getting his second career start tonight. A lot of people thought he should start against the Hawks. I'm quite happy. He's playing really well against good teams. So, yeah. He has no chance on that. That's a really, really nice pass from McKinnon, and yeah, he just gets wide open. It's not even that he's open. It's just McKinnon has such high elite IQ. It's no wonder he already has 51 assists on the year. When there's seemingly no way to get that puck to Rantanen, he gets it to him. That goal, like I said, from McKinnon and Cale Makar. Love Cale Makar. Avs take the 1-0 lead. However, Montreal almost getting desperate. It takes until 6.5 minutes left in the third period for Montreal to get a goal. And it almost wasn't because the Avs had just caused a turnover, and Jake Evans re-sign this guy immediately. Jake Evans, dude, just off of a great poke. Hudson immediately then gets it up to Caufield on a 2-on-1. Hudson to Caufield immediately right over to Suzuki, passes it over to Caufield on a 2-on-1, and he buries it by Mackenzie Blackwood, who up to this point was having a very good game. It was very much a goalie duel. It was very much a goalie duel up to that point in the game. However, both goalies had officially been broken. And speaking of being broken, fucking Jakub Dobes, dude, he got abused tonight. God, early in the first, fucking Ross Colton runs him for no discernible reason. In the fucking overtime, Arturi Lehkonen runs him. Thankfully, both were penalties. But yeah, regardless, just fucking, my God. Dobes took some punishment tonight, and I would hate if he's hurt. Thankfully, he stayed in the game after both. The second time around, though, he did, unfortunately, kind of wobble to the bench for a second, and thankfully looked fine. But speaking of overtime, again, we would go to overtime, tied 1-1, so the Canadiens are guaranteed a point, thankfully. In overtime, almost looked like the Canadiens might not last all that long. Why? Because they were on the penalty kill. That is right. They took a penalty with about a minute 44 left. It was a goalie hold against McKinnon. That sucked, but it's McKinnon. You can't really hold a superstar like that. And yeah, so the Habs thankfully killed that off. And then Josh Anderson tries to be a fucking retard. A minute 32 in, he gives 4 cross checks to Devon Toews, and he's lucky Toews gave him one back. He then fucking slashes Toews in the hand, and he is really lucky that the refs give them both just a minor for cross checking each, because this fucking guy, Josh Anderson, I hate Josh Anderson, and quite frankly, if he were traded for anything more than a 6th round pick, whoever trades that 6th round pick for him gets fucking robbed. Fuck Josh Anderson. That's all I'm going to say. But anyways, so in overtime, Lehkonen would take a penalty against Dobes for goalie interference because he runs him. Habs would press right out of the box, though. And I should say, right out of the box from the penalty. Goalie ended up getting a breakaway. He didn't score, unfortunately. That would have been awesome. Lehkonen then gets one back the other way. Dobes makes a great stop there, and we go to a shootout. I don't like the shootout. Not because, it's a bad way to end a hockey game. Because it's really fucking stressful. I hate being this stressed out over a game in fucking early January. Like, late March, April, if we're fighting for a playoff spot, okay, that gets kind of fun. I don't like stressing over early January games. So in the overtime, Cole Caufield is the first shooter, and my God, he scores a beauty of a goal. Just beats off Mackenzie Blackwood over the pad, top shelf, buries it. Jonathan Drouin, the former Montreal Canadien, Habs legend, of course, same as Habs legend, Arturi Lehkonen. He gets the first shot for the Avs. I don't know if it was a thing where, hey, it's your former team, or if it's genuinely just, hey, Drouin's really good at like deking. Let's see what he can do. Would get stopped by Dobes, unfortunately for Drouin, but thankfully for the Canadiens. Suzuki would get the second shot, and he would have scored, but he just loses the puck after a really nice backhand deke. Mikko Rantanen, he's in. He tries to wait out Dobes, but Dobes sticks with him. He makes the save. And Kirby Dach, surprisingly, is the third shooter. I thought it would have been Lane Hudson. I thought for the memes maybe it'd be Michael Pezzetta, because that'd be hilarious. But it's Kirby Dach. He's in, and he scores. Apparently, he is 4-0 with the Canadiens in a shootout, and all 4 of them have been game winners or game deciders. And that streak continues here. Kirby Dach, beauty of a goal. He buries it. Habs win 2-1 in the shootout. So this week, the Habs, instead of going a 1-2, which is what I thought would happen, we go 2-1. The Montreal Canadiens just look great right now. We look like a team that want to be in the playoffs. We look like a team that is going to play meaningful games well into February and March. Right now, at least we do. And I also want to point out, it's really, really cool how, basically, aside from the Hawks game, the last couple games that we've lost have been really close. And even then, including the Hawks game. The last game we got blown out was that Penguins game, 9-2. Like, it was really not that bad. After that, I should say. The Jets, that's a 4-2 loss. That's within reach. The Jackets, that's a 5-4 loss. Easily should have won that game, but it's unfortunate that the Jackets wanted to target Line instead of focus on winning. And then once we pulled them, they realized, oh yeah, winning hockey games is kind of good. We should do that once in a while. And then the Hawks, 4-2 loss. Should have won that game, I will argue. Should have won that one. Canadians could have been on, honestly, a 6-game win. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Could have been on a 9-game winning streak right now. I'm not going to go as far back as the Jets game and say we should have won that one. We could have. It's just fair enough that we didn't. If we beat the Hawks like was expected and we hold on against the Jackets, we're on a 9-game winning streak right now, and we're probably in the playoffs. That is how close the Canadiens are. And that's not even a fault to the Canadiens. That's saying how close we are. Right now, and I apologize. It hasn't been updated, the stats, unfortunately. But we are 1 point out of a playoff spot. Let me see if Google maybe has it instead. I'm really hoping that they do. And this is all one take. I'm not editing anything out. I never do. The Canadiens are 1 point out of a playoff spot right now. That second wildcard position is currently held by the Ottawa Senators, who, again, are ahead of us by 1 point. Yes, they have 2 games in hand on us, but They're the Ottawa Senators. They're not going to be competitive into the year. My God. And, like, you look at the teams that are around them as well. The Pittsburgh Penguins, they're kind of staggering. The Jackets, they're the Jackets. The Flyers, they're the Flyers. The Islanders, I just feel bad for. And the Red Wings, which it's a team run by Steve Yzerman. They're a joke. And then you get down to the Rangers and the Sabres, who are the worst teams in the Eastern Conference. The Canadiens have a legitimate shot at making the playoffs this year. The only team right now that can really challenge them are probably the Ottawa Senators, which is genuinely insane. The Senators are on a decent run right now. Honestly, and I'm not going to go up to the first wild card right now because the Lightning literally have 4 games in hand on the Canadiens. So that's probably out of there. However, third in the Atlantic, the Boston Bruins only have 2 points on Tampa. And again, the Lightning have, actually probably because it's not counting tonight's game, they probably have 6 games on the Bruins. I don't think the Lightning did play tonight. Nope, never mind, they did. They have. As of right now, they're at the end of the second, tied 1-1 with the Kings. So still, they'll have 5 games in hand on the Bruins. The Canadiens have 2 games in hand on the Bruins. And they're only off of them by 5 points, I believe it would be. Say the Lightning overtake third over Boston. At that point, I think you can start talking about potentially the first wild card. And I never thought I'd say this, but I might actually be rooting for the Lightning to win a couple games. Because if it means Montreal knocks out Boston and Ottawa potentially out of a playoff race or a playoff spot, I'm all for it. Dude, Montreal playing competitive games late into the season with the Calder winner on their team and a potential Vezina candidate goalie, depending on how many starts he gets from here on out, and also Jakub Dobes. Just, my God, this team, ever since Carrier and Laine have come in, they have shown this team has immense potential. Not just this year, not just for the future, but for both this year and for the future. And that's even if we trade, say, Christian Dvorak and get a legit fourth-line center. That's if we trade David Savard, which I don't want us to do if we want to be in the playoff race, because the last 2 games showed we should not have won against the Avs. The last 2 games have shown we need David Savard in this lineup to have a chance. If all we do at the deadline is trade Dvorak and maybe bring in an extra guy or 2, say we trade Josh Anderson, get a legit third-line forward, I'd have no issue there. This team can go on a run, and my God, would I love that. I think that'd be just fantastic. I'm going to end the pod in a second. But first, what I'm going to do is, like the last couple weeks, my God, my voice is going out. I apologize for that. What I'm going to do, of course, is I'm going to tell you guys what we have in store for next week. I think that's what I'm going to do to end every pod, is I'm going to tell you guys the schedule for the upcoming week for the Canadiens, and yeah, that sounds like fun. So, Monday, we play. Monday's our next game. That is against the Vancouver Canucks, who are struggling quite a bit right now. Ever since the rumors about JT Miller and Elias Pettersson not liking each other, and Miller left the team for a while, he's back now. Pettersson's been put on retroactive IR up to, I believe it's about a week ago. Yeah, someone's going to do that in the comments, so I figured I'd do that now. This is a very winnable game for the Canadiens. Then we don't play again until Friday, which is arguably good for the Canadiens. Not just if David Savard and Laine are still out, well then good, that gets them rested, hopefully for Friday. But also, that gives us more games in hand. Now yes, I know the old saying, doesn't matter if you have games in hand, it matters what you do with those games in hand. But it's still games in hand. Friday, we play the red-hot Washington Capitals with Ovechkin back, which scares me, because Ovechkin always likes doing things against the Canadiens. And I'm very worried he's about to have a 4-goal game because I know that would honestly be an Alex Ovechkin thing to do. Depending on which goal he's in, I could see it happening. But we play them Friday, and then on Saturday, we are back at home. We're actually we're at home for Vancouver. We are in Washington, and then Saturday, we are at home against the Dallas Stars. So that's going to be a fun game. I believe the first of 2 times we see them, we actually then see them next Thursday again to get both matches against them kind of just out of the way. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty fun week. I could potentially see another 2-1 week for the Canadiens. I don't think I can see a 3-0 week. Whether it's the Capitals or the Stars we lose to, I think we are losing one of those games, and hopefully we can beat the Canucks. We do seem to have their number since the bubble, so hopefully, fingers crossed, that keeps up. But yeah, the Canucks game starts at 7:30. Both other games start at 7 p.m., by the way. So yeah, the Montreal Canadiens are looking like a potential playoff team. That's fun. We're past the 40-minute mark, so I'm going to work on getting out of here. That's going to do it for today's episode of the Bleu, Blanc, Banter podcast. Thank you all for watching, both on the Harry Rice YouTube channel and the Hardwired Network on YouTube. I greatly appreciate everybody who listens to the pod. Leave your comments and your questions down below. If anybody does have any questions, by the way, I will be sure to answer them on the next episode of the podcast. Hopefully the mic sounds relatively the same or slightly better than last week. Or 2 weeks ago, because I know I had just a little bit of extra oomph in there. So, yeah, hopefully it sounds better. Thank you all again so much for watching. Check out the links in the description. Much greatly appreciated. Subscribe to both Harry Rice and Hardwired for content. Hardwired has a lot of content coming out lately. I'm going to be working on stuff for the Harry Rice channel. I might upload a video on the Harry Rice channel saying this for real, but for this pod, what I'm going to say is bananas. No, seriously. What I'm going to say, I do have a bunch of content planned. I have, firstly, a DVD haul planned. I bought a lot of DVDs. Not a lot of DVDs, a lot of DVDs. About 200 of them. It was about $40, and I'm going to be showing that in a video, so that's going to be fun. I'm also in the progress of currently reorganizing my DVD collection, and because I didn't do 25 Days of Harry last year, I'm going to be doing that sometime over the next week after I properly reorganize all the DVDs and everything like that. So I'm just waiting for the lot to actually arrive. I do have it at my sister's place, so I'm just waiting for it to actually get to my house, and so I can get everything set up. So yeah. 365 days, 365 movies. For those of you who follow me on the Harry Rice channel, I've not done November and December. I will be doing those very soon. I didn't do November and December because I kind of just not quite quit, but I took December off just to relax, spend time with the family, and just take it to myself. Because the past 6 years, I've not been enjoying, or not that I've not been enjoying. I haven't been able to enjoy myself personally, because I've been so focused on 25 Days of Harry. This year, I had a great December. I'm feeling bumped up in morale. I'm feeling great. I really want to do more videos. So I will be doing November and December in separate videos because I think that would just make more sense. So stay tuned for that. If you're on the Harry Rice channel, if you're on the Hardwired channel, go to the Harry Rice channel and subscribe there. As for this channel, whatever else with, or I say this channel as if I'm speaking specifically to the Hardwired viewers. I am, but if you're on the Hardwired channel now, whatever else with will be coming back soon. We just need topics that we got to talk about. It generally comes down to me and Hauser, how many topics we want to talk about and such there. Of course, the shorts will keep on coming as there's more NHL news for me, NFL news for Hauser, and might do quick little mini movie reviews, depending on if people would be interested in seeing that. I think it'd be fun. So, yeah, be on the lookout for more content on both channels, of course. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Always remember, go Habs go. Again, links in the description, check those out. My name is Harry Rice, a.k.a. PM Rice if you're on Hardwired. Thank you all so much for watching, and I am out. Go Habs go. Always remember, no matter how bad we were last year, pretty good we are this year. Go Habs go, baby. Thank you guys so much for watching the Bleu Blanc Banter podcast. I will see you guys next week. Stay tuned. Subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys. Love you guys. Bye-bye.